done and your invaluable expertise and patience in helping me get this through to fruition. My name is Patrick, and I have a graphic design company, the owner of a company in Oakland called Indelible Urbanity. This is an incarnate of my logo. Next slide, please. We do graphic design. I spent 16 years working on feature films, music videos, television commercials, TV shows. We have a huge background in production design, art direction. We can do photo montage, image making, and anything digital for your needs. So we were approached by a client. It's a lady from a region in Spain called Alhambra. Her name is Chef Jacinta Cuellar. And she came up, she wants to build a restaurant. She needs a logo, branding, and advertising for this restaurant that she's designing, which is entitled, next slide please.
I'm just going to throw in one thing. He's saying this as if it's real, but he's made all this up, okay? He went through this discovery phase, he came up with a real client to service, and so as he talks about it, it's all his own creation, okay?
So our client approached us with the name of a restaurant, which is Prussian Blue. So this is the logo we designed for her. It's ivory white pigment brush stroked onto a Prussian blue canvas substrate. Next slide, please. And this will, it's going to be in Oakland, California. And this is will be the leader page or the home page of her website, which we'll get into in a little while. But first, what I want to do is introduce you to the city where she's going to have her restaurant, and just tell you for a moment about where it's going to be. You can go to the next slide, please. And then I'm going to read you her mission statement so you'll be able to understand who my client's audience is and what my client's message is. So this is a map of the Bay Area. I'm sure everybody has heard of San Francisco, and there's the Golden Gate Bridge. Oakland's just right across from the city and the Bay. In San Francisco, there's just under 3,000 restaurants. And they're all by a different name. Some are owned by the same people, but there's like 3,000 different restaurants. Sure, there's like 1 or 2 Taco Bells, and we all know where they are. And there might be a KFC and a couple of McDonald's, but for the most part, it's a very diverse restaurant area. 65-minute drive this way, 70-minute drive in this entire radius. There's 55 Michelin star restaurants, either 1 star or up to 5 stars. A Michelin star restaurant is like the highest you can achieve accolade for your restaurant. I guess the higher accolade would be the James Beard in America. It's kind of like the Pulitzer. The reason I'm telling you this is because, so imagine that there's 55, at least a 1-star Michelin star restaurant in this area. Imagine all the other restaurants that are just below it or even mediocre. The area is people are very versed in food knowledge, wine knowledge. The most famous restaurant in the world, it's up in the top 5, is right up here in Napa Valley. It's a 5-star restaurant. It's called French Laundry. And even if you're the President of the United States, Obama, Trump, Bush, anybody, you can't just go into this restaurant. You got to get a 6-month reservation. So the area is very saturated with people who understand what it is to have I don't know, a different kind of cuisine. There's every type of ethnicity there as far as the food goes, or even designs of food that you could think of, and probably some food cuisine that you probably never thought of. This page. So this is what Oakland looks like on a map. It's about 78 square miles. It's broken up into districts like most cities. There's some really bad areas and high crime, and there's some really nice areas. There's actually a city inside of Oakland, which is very affluent. It's old school money. It's not like all the tech money that's you're associated with the Googles and Yahoos and things that when you hear of the San Francisco area, it's all white people, Caucasian people with their own fire department, their own police station, their own schooling, and it's just interesting that there's that city inside the city. Oakland's like the 45th largest city in America. It's the 5th largest port. All the stuff that's coming through the Pacific Ocean either lands in Long Beach, San Diego, and Oakland, which is the port right here. If you notice this image right here, this is a lake, which is also in the middle of Oakland, and that's where the restaurant's going to be built. So if you can imagine that image, and then we'll go to the next slide. So this is the lake. It's about 3¼ miles if you want to run it. It's 3¼ miles of shoreline. Any given day, there's hundreds of thousands of people just walking around. On the weekends, the numbers, double. There's people walk, jog, run, ride their bike. You can park all along the lake, and it's very high traffic. So you're able to just putting your brand out there just by being on the lake. You're just getting free advertisement just by people coming by. So this is the location of her restaurant. Let's see. Okay, so now I'd like to read you her mission statement. Do it quite quickly. There's no design in the mission statement page because I prefer just to focus on what my client has to say. So it's the who, the what, where, and when. So Prussian Blue is the name of the restaurant. It's a Spanish California present-day vegetarian cuisine where European heritage meets modern California culinary culture. It's on Lakeshore Drive in Oakland, and it's going to open in spring/summer 2019. Acclaimed Spanish chef Jacinta Cuellar from Alhambra, Spain, is proud to open her new stateside restaurant, Prussian Blue, on the beautiful Lake Merritt of downtown Oakland, California. Combining restaurant recipes and traditional fresh ingredients from her European lineage blended with contemporary California techniques and elements, Chef Cuellar has designed a truly unique eatery for the nonce of the Bay Area, California. Prussian Blue, also known as PB, is named after Chef Cuellar's favorite earthen pigment and the dark blue hue of the water that shares the shore of Lake Merritt and the location of her new fine dining restaurant. So basically, Prussian Blue is a pigment, it's her favorite color. It reminds her of the lake that she's building her restaurant on, and thus the name Prussian Blue. Prussian Blue's daily menu will offer vegetarian cuisine and exemplary desserts designed and presented in glass jars of all shapes and sizes from head chef, pastry chef Brian Darrow of Portland, Oregon. PB will have a commitment to its local environment and volunteerism in its community. PB will partner with the Oakland Public Library to help promote literacy as well as the Alameda's food shift to increase the public's knowledge of community-involved food donation and volunteerism. Big thing in California is to not only be something, but be somebody. And so it's definitely in the restaurant culture. It's illegal to have, it's illegal. We don't have plastic bags. Like coming out here, there's no plastic bags, everything's paper. They just passed a law now that your straws are in plastic. Everything's paper, so it can go to the land garbage dump and, yeah, exactly. So the library is right across the street. There's a beautiful library. And there's they feed the homeless called the Food Shift. They're based in Alameda, so they're going to partner with them too. It's going to be part of their branding is being in the community. Chef Cuellar hails from the Aragon region of Spain. As a young girl, Cuellar was raised on the base of the tallest mountain in the Pyrenees called Mount Anedo. Warm summers were spent traveling with her mother and grandmother to Barcelona, Spain in the east. And they traveled up to the Bordeaux region of France to the north, and Madrid, Spain in the south. She spent a lifetime of collecting and perfecting recipes of traditional Spain. She's recently located to Oakland, California to introduce a Spanish and California immersed vegetarian fine dining cuisine themed menu. She met a guy named Chef Brian Darrow. He was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. He attended the graduated from the prestigious pastry program of the Culinary Institute of America, which is called the CIA, in Hyde Park, New York. He met Chef Coular when she was guest teaching a year-long program at the CIA entitled Working Structures Teaching. They both decided, they realized the sharing vision of opening a West Coast European, Iberian, which is Spanish, American vegetarian restaurant with emphasis on culture, community, and creativeness. They found the perfect location for the concept on the bank of a 140-year-old Lake Merritt, Oakland, California. Coular and Daryl invite you to come experience a wonderfully original fine dining restaurant. There's a lot of information there, but basically, like Ms. Fries is saying, is got to focus on where you're at and what you want to do and what your message is and what you want your branding to be before you actually go and do it. So that's the concept of the rest of the presentation, of who she is, where she's coming from, and what she wants to do. Next slide, please. I took this image in December. I had to go back to California for a little bit, a couple days. And the reason I'm showing you this image is you're going to notice it as we go through the rest of the presentation. When you're discussing brands, especially for a brick and mortar, for something that's actually somewhere that people can walk into, you want to discuss the environment inside or the environment outside. One of the things my client was discussing is not only the environment outside, there's a lake right there. And also around this lake are these beautiful Art Deco. Art Deco is a period in art history, like the 20s to 30s, 1920s to 30s. One of the most famous Art Deco pieces in the world is actually the Golden Gate Bridge. If you think of that's Art Deco. Anyway, there's these lampposts that go across the entire lake, and you can't miss them, and they're beautiful in the daytime, and they're gorgeous at night. You really can't see them, but what they are, they're all strung with lights, so the entire lake is lit up. Sometimes in January, like for breast cancer awareness, or 4th of July, or different holidays, they got these dudes that go out there and change all the lights to a certain color, like pink or whatever. So the reason I just want to show you this image is because you're going to see it in our branding, and you'll actually see it in some of the images of some of the exterior shots. Thanks. Next slide. So one of the things you want to do with your branding, as we showed you the logo earlier, is see what it looks like in black and white, because you're not always guaranteed that the color of your image is going to be the color you intended it to be. So part of the assignment is to take a look at it in black and white. So we can still see that the substrate still holds its form, the brush strokes, and the typeface comes out well. Next slide. So for the letterhead system, we create the business cards, letterhead, envelopes. Kind of went a simple approach, but being repetitive in what we want to say and do. This is the owner. She's an executive chef and the owner. Pay notice that this is the shape of Spain where she's from. There's other people in her establishment that we can have different types of jobs, like the bartender or the head hostess or whatnot, that we can change the different map lines to either be an image of who they are or where they're from. And for the owner, she's decided to have the map of Spain. So the back of her card is the next slide. Just the logo. So her pastry chef is the next slide, who's is making his name at this restaurant, designing desserts that are all in glass jars, which we'll get into in a moment. He's the California part. So we can change, we can keep the branding and the imagery the same and just put in something that's kind of unique to that person in their business card. Next slide. The letterhead system, or the back of the card. And the letterhead system, she'll predominantly be doing things on the internet and social media. She'll have a blog. She's just going to do once a week, maybe twice a month. They're not going to go full force onto the whole Instagram, Facebook kind of thing. Sure, they'll have it. Most of her communication will be done through some of her assistants. But when they do need to communicate in paper form, this will be the letterhead they'll use, and the next slide will be the envelopes that they'll mail things in. So again, the branding, who they are, and the name. This is the back of the envelope with the flap with the address of return address of their restaurant. This next page is kind of like the introduction page. This is what it looks like. This is facing north. This is the restaurant. You can't see now, which is no problem at all. We've designed the neon lights exterior signage, which we'll show close-ups in a moment. So that's the restaurant looking west, and if you're sitting there at the restaurant looking back where you're taking this photo, that's what it looks like. So it's kind of an introduction page. This could be used for, on the website, we can turn that into like the catering page, weddings, there's all kinds of functions that you can do out on the pier. So my client is calling this the introduction page. Next slide. Some examples of the neon that will be in the restaurant. There's a night scene of a party. This is the exterior where that pier in the very first image that we saw, one of the first images that we saw. You'd have weddings and parties and functions out there. The typeface itself is called Fashion Victim, and one of the things that attracted my client to it is the ascenders, the tall ascenders and just a small descender there. And we're going to play with it through the neon and some of the other graphics that you'll see as we go through. Here's the side facing, the facade is on this side here. It's just an image of what it looks like in the daytime. So notice there's the lamp. That's a real thing, and they go all the way around the lake. So it's just the understanding of your environment and incorporating as you'll see as we go through. The next page is also the same kind of thing. Here's the facade of the restaurant there. See, there's the lamp as they go around. Here's an example of their neon that will be on the facade. Here's now the back side of the restaurant where you hold parties in a daytime photo, and then just a little artsy close-up of the back of the restaurant. Next slide. Here's an interior shot or a promo for, it definitely could be on the website. It can also be in other advertising campaigns. It shows the unique views that you have on the northeastern end, interior bar, it's a banquet room, and then a part of the eastern dining area. Again, using the incorporate the branding of the design in this page. Next page, please. This next page is the client is calling this the go-to page. It's simple, it's fun. I actually like it. It's one of my. There's not a lot of design to it, but she wanted something that on the website we might call it the postcard page. For a tangible thing, we're calling it a go-to image. Tangible meaning that this is if something happened and you wanted to send out since she's our client and it will be in our database. Hey Patrick, we need to put out this information now, or we need to do this. We need a mailer. This is at a 7x7 image right now, but it's a horizontal image, so it can easily be done down to 3x7, or it can even be enlarged to whatever horizontal composition that you want. We can add in things like, hey, come see us, don't forget we have a whatever. It can be turned into a postcard. On the back, you can have your information about what you want to let people know. It has the interior of the bars, the double-seated bar that extends it. Anyway, not a lot of design in it, but what this is kind of like in the back pocket to be used as impromptu design if you need something quickly. And again, it's probably going to turn into one of the web pages. This is a full color ad. In the Bay Area, there's a couple publications. One's called the East Bay Edible, a very popular magazine of just foodies and kind of snobby people who like to talk about expensive food. So this ad is kind of geared to them. You can also go in what's called the Diablo magazine, which is a very popular magazine. Diablo is named after the mountain. There's a huge mountain just east of this whole area. It's called Mount Diablo, and if you stand on it, the old days, when people first started going to California, you could stand, if you climbed all the way up, you could see all the way down to LA. Now there's a lot of smog and other things that impede your vision. But so the Diablo magazine, or this ad, can actually go in the world famous San Francisco Chronicle. They have a Sunday supplement called the Pink Section. So this is just simply telling the branding, who they are, what they do, and where they are.
Very nice.
Thank you. So here's a quarter-page black and white ad that we could also put in some of the publications if we're on a budget. And we could use this template. We used the Valentine's Day theme for this. You can easily put in other holidays. The key wasn't to sit there and make it look like it's Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July. It's a quarter-page ad, and for a quarter page of the ad, we just want to get our message across. We're going to get a nice image, the gondolas, and there's the lake, and a view across the lake. Here's our boathouse building, and then the information that come eat with us, and the information that you need to get there. So it's not to be a themed, again, not like that is supposed to have hearts and look like Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day. It's the information that we want to portray in a quarter-page ad, black and white, and then we can put it in various functions that we have come up. There's too many to list the functions that they have coming up in the first year. We can definitely use that ad. Next page is the billboard. Don't have a lot of billboards in California. I painted this one, put a little barn in there, and painted it. Ms. Fries has suggested it on the billboards. 7 words or less. People are driving by really fast. So we took the concept of it being Spanish, California vegetarian cuisine, and this is where we are. Simple repetition of the lights around the lake, our logo. Yeah, billboard. I like it. It's one of my favorite pieces, actually.
I wouldn't call it simple, but it's very thoughtful.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want you guys to be mindful of the different design elements. He has a vocabulary, and he can overlay the line art on top of real photography. And then this choice of typeface for the all caps used interchangeably with all. So this is a lot of work, and he's using it with continuity and building familiarity. So you see that strip with those forms on it, you know who it is, right? Just very, very thoughtful.
This isn't a very design piece. This is more of a promotional piece, and again, it's something that you as a brand maker need to do. This piece will probably be framed just inside the lobby or the foyer. It'll probably be distributed at local hotels, definitely the Chamber of Commerce, things of that nature. This is a promotion that we're going to get to in a moment, or I guess we can do now, is when you come to some of the nicer hotels, there's a waterfront. Just you go through Chinatown, and there's the waterfront right there. Like I said, it's the 5th largest port in America, and there's some beautiful hotels that are down on the waterfront. And my clients in collaboration with them, they'll give guests 10% discount. You just call downstairs to the concierge and say, hey, I want to go eat a Prussian Blue, and they call up and say, hey, and boom, you get 10%. So when you go into these rooms, you get the little mint or whatever these hotels offer, but they'll also, our promotions department will have bags made up. And one of the neat things, or one of the different things about their restaurant is that all the desserts, and they're all gourmet desserts, will be made in different size jars. We have some examples coming up. So the client might get a bag when they come into the hotel room and have different types of things from Spain, just like little tchotchkes and stuff. It's like, hey honey, look, we just got some spice or whatever from Spain. It might end up in the garbage, and it might end up in their suitcase when they go home, but definitely our name's going to be there, and it's going to be in their suitcase when they go home. And you definitely, if you're trying to sell yourself, especially as a restaurant, and especially, as I said in the beginning, where everybody has a choice of where to eat. There are choices to eat. There are so many choices of what to eat. How do you separate yourself from the rest of the culinary world? It's just another niche to go in and say, hey, this is who we are. You come to this town, and then you get people talking about it. And so that's what this is. It's not overly designed. It's just it's an informative piece of our branding. This next one we're just calling a one-off. A one-off is just you make it, you design it, it's used for a purpose, and then it's done. For the first week, we'll have mock services. They're fake services. For the first day will be family, second day will be media day. We'll have the mayor and union people, all kinds of people in your area who, once they eat there and if they have good things to say about it, they get down and Yelp and say, hey, look, I'm the mayor of the city, and I just had dinner there, and you should go eat there. So we designed a comment card, just a small 3x5 card that we'll put in everyone's guest check. You're given a guest check during the party. You're not expected to pay, but everyone has to learn what they're doing. So we're going to give this at a party. We never use this certain card again. If you can go to the next page, it's the back of the card. Again, with the branding, hey, how'd you like to get on the chef's blog? You sign up if you want. You can put your name if you want, or if you have some bad things to say and you don't want to write your name, that's fine. But you can say, hey, I love the pork chops. It's a vegetarian restaurant, but I loved whatever, or I hated whatever. So again, it's a branding tool to get the, and yes, the first day is all your friends and family, and the second day is the media, and hopefully they'll be honest with you and tell you what they didn't like and what they did like, and you guys can sit, you know, at the end of the week with a glass of wine and get together, and just all the management sit there and say, hey, these are some of the things these are some things we need to iron out right in the beginning. So again, using our branding images to give some information of what people really think. The next page is just a photo of the dinnerware and the plateware. It's going to be very simple. The key of the food, the highlight of the food, I guess, will be is the food. When you put the branding with the Lake Merritt lights, and just an example of the napkins, the cloth napkins with the Prussian blue pigment paper ring with our logo in there as well. The uniforms, I drew this. It's kind of fun piece. Again, we put the watermark of the lamp that I designed in the back. Just an example for our clients or whatever. In the initial, this will probably be a one-off for the first couple months. It's just something that the clients know. Maybe there's investors, whatnot. Hey, what's your employees going to be wearing? They're going to be wearing the long sleeve Oxford. They'll have the pocket with the logo on it and black shoes. So I just made that as a fun little piece instead of putting an image of somebody in a uniform. So that's what that is. With the menus, the client decided that we're going to have three different menu faces, and then obviously the menu to go on the opposite. It'll be a 8x11 menu, so we'll have a cover and the menu on the other side. Kind of played on the idea of being on the lake, so there's going to be lakeside dining. There'll be pier spirits, and shoreline desserts. So each one, if you're ready for dessert, ma'am, here's the shoreline desserts, and it'll have its images that we'll show you in a moment, or if it's a dinner menu, or if you want some drinks. This is going to be geared to, in California, they do a thing called Taco Tuesdays. Do they do that out here? Yeah, it's a big thing. Even if you don't have nothing to do with a taco, like nothing to do with a taco, you got a restaurant, it's not unheard of you to sit there and go, hey, come in for Taco Tuesdays. And so will just be examples, since it's a fine dining restaurant, and they have chefs there who will be preparing different items daily. It won't be unheard of them to have a different menu every day. But so this is an example of, if you came in on a Tuesday, every Tuesday, this is what it'll be. So here's our lakeshore dining cover to the menu. Then the menu itself, here's our Taco Tuesdays. Various, well, actually we call it tapas, because in Spain they serve this dish which is called a tapas, and it could be just a plate of squid, or it could be a plate of cheese. In California, they've just gone crazy and just make everything call it a tapa. As long as they put it on a small plate, charge you lots of money. So the client kind of wrapped the Taco Tuesdays with the Tapas Tuesdays, because that's completely Spanish, and very simple, clean, readable menu. And there's not a lot on it, because that's what the day's about. You come in, you can imagine sitting on the pier, got a couple friends, and you just order a bunch of tapas and have a nice time. So the next one is the drink menu. So there's to cover that. So there's two local beers that I kind of redid their logo. We won't tell them. It's a local. We're advertising. We have local fare, local spirits, and then kind of put a Spanish kind of flair into it as well. But again, using the same composition of the dining menu, and you'll see it's the same composition of the dessert menu. So very simple. There's that lamp again, and very simple. Hey, it's Tuesday. You got 6, 7, 8 things to choose from, and you just go and you order a pitcher of beer and just have fun with your friends. And then the last one would be dessert. So if you're interested in dessert that day, so now it's shoreline desserts. Again, same composition, but we're just using the environment. Again, pure spirits, lakeshore dining, and shoreline desserts, and then some of the imagery of some of the desserts that you might get in there. And then repetition of some of the branding. Very quick and simple. You get your 4 choices on this particular day. So that is the concept for Tuesdays. They'll have different concepts for the menu part throughout the week, but they'll keep the same cover, the menu covers for each category.
And I think that the contrast between full saturation of color here on the front, and then making a very wise decision to liberate us a little bit on the inside, being more the white with the line art.
Excellent point.
But consistency of type style, just used,
Yeah,
throughout.
It's throughout. This is my conclusion page, so everyone can wake up now. This is a shot I took on the lake in December. Mr. Seagull and one little. I just walked to the water's edge from the restaurants right here and walked in and took it. And then I think, if this was a presentation about my company and who we're designing for, I just thought it'd be a nice conclusion page to sit there and say, hey, anybody want some free candy? You can come up and get some now, or I'll have it over my desk. You just walk over, don't even ask. Just take some. These are actually some nice little chocolate balls here, dark chocolate. This would be my conclusion page of my PowerPoint or my Acrobat portfolio presentation. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Patrick.
Okay.
So,
That's lots of candy.
because of his
Come on.
thorough
Blue or green?